My name is Layla, and I am 26 years. 8 months ago, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table where I had eaten breakfast every morning of my childhood and told me she had found me a husband. Not, I'd like you to meet someone. Not, there's a family we think you'd get along with. Just, she had found me a husband. Past tense. Decision made. The particular finality of a woman who had confused love with control for so long that she no longer saw the difference. His name was Tariq. He was 34. An accountant. From a good family. That was the phrase my mother used, good family, as if family were a credential that could be verified and stamped and presented as sufficient reason for a life. He's a good man, my mother said. Stable. Responsible. His mother and I have been talking for months. Months. She had been arranging my life for months without telling me. I looked at my mother across the kitchen table, at the woman who had raised me, who had loved me in the specific way she knew how to love, which was fiercely and with complete certainty that she knew what was best and that knowing what was best entitled her to implement it. I'm not getting married, I said. Layla. I'm 26, I said. I'm in the middle of my PhD. I have 3 years of research left. I am not getting married to a man I have never met because you and his mother have been talking for months. You can finish your PhD after, she said. After. As if a PhD were a hobby. As if 3 years of research into environmental policy were something that could be paused and resumed around the schedule of a marriage that hadn't been my idea. No, I said. My mother looked at me with the expression she reserved for when I said things she had decided not to hear. You will meet him, she said. That is all I am asking. Just meet him. I looked at her. At the kitchen table where I had eaten breakfast every morning of my childhood. At the woman who loved me completely and was using that love as a weapon without knowing it. Fine, I said. I will meet him. But something had settled in me that had nothing to do with Tariq. Something about what came after the meeting. I called my best friend Nadia from my car. She answered on the first ring. She did it, I said. The husband thing, Nadia said. Not a question. His name is Tariq, I said. He's 34. Accountant. Good family. Of course he is, Nadia said. With the particular dryness of someone who has heard this story in various forms for 6 years. She's been arranging it for months, I said. Without telling me. Layla, she said. I know, I said. What are you going to do? I looked at my steering wheel. I'm going to meet him, I said. Because refusing to meet him becomes the argument. If I meet him, and he is who I think he is, a man who has also been arranged at without being fully consulted, then we have a different conversation. And if he's wonderful? Nadia said. Then I'll deal with that problem if it arrives, I said. And your mother? I thought about the kitchen table. About, you can finish your PhD after. My mother, I said, needs to understand something she has not understood in 26 years of loving me. What? Nadia said. That loving me and controlling me are not the same thing, I said. Tariq was not what I expected. I had constructed a version of him in the week between my mother's announcement and the meeting, a man who was comfortable with arrangements, who had participated willingly in the months of negotiation, who had looked at a photograph of me and decided I was suitable without ever asking what I thought about it. The man who sat across from me at the restaurant my mother had chosen was quieter than that construction. More uncertain. The particular uncertainty of someone who had also been presented with a situation rather than invited into one. You didn't know either, I said. 20 minutes in. After the careful small talk had run its course. He looked at me. My mother told me 3 weeks ago, he said, that there was a family she wanted me to meet. Not that she had already arranged it, I said. Not exactly, he said. She was optimistic about how much had been decided. I sat with that. What do you do? He said. I know you're a student, but... PhD, I said. Environmental policy. 3 years left. That's impressive, he said. Genuinely. without the particular tone of men who say impressive and mean something else. My mother thinks I can finish it after, I said. Something moved across his face. After what? He said. After the marriage she has arranged, I said. He was quiet for a moment. My mother said something similar, he said. That you were at a natural stopping point in your studies. I have 3 years of research left, I said. That is not a natural stopping point. No, he said. It isn't. We looked at each other across the restaurant table. Two people who had been arranged by their mothers and had shown up anyway, me from the particular pragmatism of someone who understood that refusing the meeting became the argument. Him from what I was beginning to understand was his own version of the same. Can I ask you something directly? I said. Please, he said. Do you want to get married? I said. Not to me specifically. In general. Right now. Is this something you want? He was quiet for a long moment. I want to get married eventually, he said. Asterisk, to someone I have chosen. In a way that feels like a choice. He looked at his water glass. This doesn't feel like a choice. No, I said. It doesn't. What do we do? He said. We go home, I said. And we each have a conversation with our mothers. That conversation is going to be difficult, he said. Yes, I said. It is. He almost smiled. You seem very calm about it, he said. I've been preparing for it for a week, I said. Since she told me. What are you going to say? He said. I thought about the kitchen table. About, you can finish your PhD after. About 26 years of being loved in a way that had always had conditions underneath it. Be what I need you to be. Want what I want you to want. Choose what I have decided you should choose. The truth, I said. I'm going to say the truth. She was waiting when I got home. Of course she was. She had been waiting since I left for the restaurant, had spent 2 hours in the living room with her phone and her particular brand of anxious certainty. The energy of a woman who has set something in motion and is waiting for the expected outcome. How is he? She said. Sit down, Mom, I said. Something in my voice. She sat. I sat across from her, not at the kitchen table this time, in the living room, the more formal space. The space for conversations that mattered. He's a good man, I said. You were right about that. He's thoughtful and direct, and he was also arranged by his mother without being fully consulted. We had a surprisingly honest conversation about it. See, my mother said. You liked him. Mom, I said. I'm not finished. She stopped. I am not going to marry Tariq, I said. Not because he isn't good. He is. But because I did not choose him. You chose him. And I am 26 years old with 3 years of PhD research left and the absolute certainty that my life is mine to direct. Layla, I need to say something, I said. And I need you to hear it completely before you respond. She was quiet. You love me, I said. Asterisk, I know that. I have never doubted it. But there is a way you love me that has always had underneath it the assumption that loving me means knowing what is best for me. That because you're my mother you have access to a truth about my life that I don't have. I paused. You don't. Nobody does. My life belongs to me. My choices belong to me. My PhD belongs to me. My marriage, when it happens, to whoever I choose, belongs to me. My mother's eyes were full. I only want what's best for you, she said. I know, I said. But what's best for me is not something you get to decide. It's something I get to discover. By living my own life. You could get hurt, she said. Yes, I said. I could. That is part of living a life. If you had a husband. If I had a husband I chose, I said. When I am ready. That is a different sentence from the one you are trying to finish. She was quiet for a long time. I didn't think of it as control, she said finally. I know, I said. That's what I'm telling you. What do you want from me? She said. I want you to trust me, I said. To make my own choices. To live my own life. To come to you when I need guidance, and I will, Mom. I promise I will, rather than having guidance imposed before I've had the chance to need it. She looked at her hands. I will call Tariq's mother, she said. Thank you, I said. She won't be pleased, she said. Probably not, I said. But it's the right thing. She nodded slowly. Layla, she said. Yes. Your PhD, she said. Tell me about it. What you're researching. I've never properly asked. I looked at my mother. At the woman who had arranged my marriage without asking me and was now asking about my research for the first time. It's about water policy in developing regions, I said. How environmental regulation affects access to clean water for rural communities. She listened. Really listened. For the first time in a very long time. He texted me the following week. Not a call, a text. The particular medium of someone who wants to make contact but is giving the other person control over when to respond. I spoke to my mother, he wrote. It was difficult. She's upset. I think yours probably is too. I texted back, mine took it better than I expected. I think she heard something. Mine heard something too, he wrote. I told her what you said at the restaurant. About it not feeling like a choice. How did she respond? I wrote. She cried, he wrote. And then she said she only wanted what was best for me. Which is apparently what all mothers say. I almost smiled at my phone. It's what mine said too, I wrote. What did you say back, he wrote. That what's best for me is something I get to discover, I wrote. By living my own life. A pause. Then, that's exactly right. Another pause. Then, can I ask you something? Yes, I wrote. Would you want to have coffee sometime? He wrote. Not arranged by anyone. Just two people who had an honest conversation and might want to have another one. I sat with that for a moment. Yes, I wrote. I think I would. We had coffee on a Thursday. Then lunch the following week. Then a walk through the university botanical gardens on a Saturday afternoon. My suggestion, the particular place I went when I needed to think clearly, the specific combination of green and quiet that organized my thoughts. He was easy to talk to. Not in the arranged meeting way of two people performing compatibility for an audience. In the real way, the way of two people who had started from honesty and found that honesty was a good foundation for everything that followed. He asked real questions about the PhD, listened to the answers with the focused attention of someone who was genuinely interested rather than performing interest. I asked real questions about his work, accounting, which I had dismissed as dry and discovered was more interesting than I had assumed, particularly the forensic side of it. The particular detective work of finding where numbers told different stories than the people presenting them expected. You find the truth in the numbers, I said. I try to, he said. Sometimes the numbers are hiding something. People too, I said. Yes, he said. People too. We walked through the botanical gardens and talked about our mothers, not with bitterness, with the clear-eyed honesty of two people who had grown up inside particular dynamics and had recently had the PhD continued. That was the most important thing, and I want to say it clearly because the story of a woman who almost had her education derailed by an arranged marriage should end with the education continuing, which it did. Consistently, determinately, with the particular focused energy of someone who has claimed their own life and is living it. My supervisor said I was on track for a strong thesis. I believed her. My mother came to the university in November. Not for a graduation, those were still years away. She called and asked if she could come and see where I worked. See the research. Meet my supervisor. I said yes. She arrived on a Wednesday morning, slightly overdressed for a university building, which was very her, the particular care of a woman who took seriously the fact that she was going somewhere important. I met her at the entrance and walked her through the department and showed her the research space and explained what I was doing in terms she could follow. She asked questions. Not the polite kind, real ones. About the water policy, about the communities I was studying, about what I hoped the research would change. My supervisor appeared at the end of the tour. "Your daughter," she said to my mother, "is going to produce research that matters. That actually changes policy." My mother looked at me. Something in her face I hadn't seen before. Not the pride of a mother whose daughter is doing what she approved of. The pride of a mother who is seeing her daughter clearly, the actual person, the actual work, the actual life, possibly for the first time. "I know," she said. "I'm beginning to understand that." Tariq and I had dinner with our mothers in December. My suggestion, which surprised everyone including me. But it felt right. The four of us, in a restaurant that was nobody's territory, navigating the particular complicated geography of a situation that had started badly and was becoming something else. The mothers were careful with each other. Careful with us. Not the arranged dinner careful of people performing for an outcome. The genuine careful of people who understand they had made mistakes and are trying not to make them again. Tariq's mother asked about the PhD. My mother explained it, which meant she had been paying attention, had absorbed what I had told her and was now passing it on. The particular evidence of someone who has started listening. At the end of the evening, Tariq's mother said to me, "I am sorry for how we went about things." "Thank you," I said. "He is happier," she said, "since the arrangement stopped." I didn't expect that. "People are happier," I said, "when they are making their own choices." She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "I am learning that." Tariq and I were not together. I want to be honest about that because the story where the arranged meeting leads to a chosen relationship